I'm Justin Davis, and today you're going to learn how to fly a drone. Congratulations on deciding that you want to learn how to become a drone pilot. I have done thousands of hours of flights, flown thousands of drones since 2013. We've been working on multi-rotors builds. We've done builds for the government. We've done builds for consumer drones, Hollywood, SWAT teams, police departments. And now we're going to teach you how to fly a simple, low budget, low cost drone outside, where to go to fly. We're going to talk about takeoffs and landings. We're going to talk about flying circuits, stick orientation, taking care of your drone, and most importantly, how to become a better pilot. We're going to start out today with the HS280 drone from Hollystone. You can find it on Amazon. It's in our link, and I don't care if you buy this one or not, but today's video is all about learning the basics of drone orientation, how to get yourself out of trouble, and how to fly it back without the assistance of GPS on board and optical flow. That's the main point of this video, is to teach you from the beginning how to be a better pilot and how not to start bad habits. So let's go ahead outside now with the HS280 and let's get our landing pad. The battery's all charged up. Let's do some flying together. But one last thing before we go out and fly this drone together and do this drone camp, I want you to know about dronecamps.com. If you go to our website, you'll see a brand new drone blog on there with news, articles, build videos, and as well as descriptions of how to build, even advanced articles on how to tune an FPV race quad, as well as all the new releases that are coming out. So you can kind of stay up to date with everything and go back into our school articles and find out the basics of drone flying, building, and tuning. So it's a huge community resource that you just have to know about. So we also have a drone store in there as well. You can get up to 50% off of drones like this one that I just don't need and can't fly. So those are for our subscribers only on dronecamps.com. Let's go ahead outside now and let's fly this HS280 together. And let me teach you some of the most bare bones basics to make you a better pilot. So after you have your batteries all charged up and you're ready to go, picking a flying spot is the first thing you're going to do. I recommend going out and flying a big, nice field that you can fly in, that you have permission to fly on, with no trees around. You don't want anything close by that is like kind of a stationary object that you can hit, like telephone poles, telephone wires, parking decks, things like that. Your neighbor's house, for example. Get away from everything. Get in your car and drive outside of town if you have to, but find a nice big open space. And for your first flights outdoors, I recommend starting not using the phone. We're gonna fly this pure line of sight today, no FPV or Wi-Fi feed on the transmitter. It's just gonna make it a lot easier for you if you start out that way, you learn that way, then worry about FPV and distance flying after that. When you know how to fly this as a pilot with your sticks and all of your orientations, and you can do your circuits forwards and backwards, you're going to be a much better pilot in the long run before you start flying FPV. So now we have our battery all charged up. We have batteries in here. It takes 4 AAA batteries. They're in the back of this HS280 controller. And to turn this drone on, it's pretty simple. You're just going to press this power button here, and we're going to press the power button on the very top right here of the drone. You should hear a startup chime. Let it be nice and level. Keep everything nice and level while it's starting up. You will see that the back green light's flashing. You want to take your throttle stick, move it up and down. So up and down, you'll hear this beep, and then you'll see that this light has gone to a solid state. And again, for this drone camp, we're not using any GPS on board or any optical flow. This is just old school ADI flying. And ADI means that there is no GPS assistance, but it will hold its altitude. Okay guys, now that you have your drone set up, you have a solid light here and a solid light on the back of the drone, it's time to arm your motors and do your first takeoff. The way you're going to do that is hold your sticks down and to the outside and then go to the center. You'll get a low idle like that. Then all you have to do is press your auto takeoff button or the throttle button on the left here, or the throttle stick perhaps. Left and right is going to be yaw. That rotates the drone left and right here in the front, and forward and back, left and right here, makes it go left and right. Now when the drone turns around the other way, everything's going to be backwards. We're going to talk about that in a second. So let's go ahead and do your first takeoff. We'll press this auto launch button here and it'll come up, and notice that it is drifting. Take the right stick and push forward away from you, And at this point, you're learning how to hover in an orientation very similar to hovering something like a single rotor helicopter. So see it lean to the right or left. We don't have any trims on this radio. So it's gonna push the way that kind of the wind is going. And you're gonna have to counteract that as a drone pilot without GPS assistance. This is really good learning skills for kind of orientation in general. So the first thing I want you to do is practice your stationary hover, and you're going to try to keep this drone in one spot. And the better you keep it in one spot, the more precise pilot you're going to be. So we're just going to keep that in one spot. I can bring my height up a little bit. It's going to maintain altitude, and I'm just using this right stick only at this point, just to keep it in one spot. And once you have a good hover, we can practice going left and right. And at this point, with the drone facing you, your orientation is always going to be left, right, right is left, until you spin the drone around to face you. If it gets too far away from you, pull back on the right stick. Not too close, obviously. Now we're going to practice left and right. So this is the roll axis. We're going to go left, and we're going to stop. We're going to start to push right and kind of anticipate your turns. So anticipate your next turn. If I know I'm going this way to the left, I know I need to go to the right and to the left. And eventually you're going to get faster and faster with that. And we can also go into high speed mode, and that gives us a little more tilt, and the drone will move faster at this point. So really high speed left and right. Looks like it's on a trampoline. And so now that you've done left and right, you can do forward and back, forward and back. And so we're still only using the right stick. So this will teach you basically your pitch and roll axis. And look at that, I'm flying this drone on just one hand, one stick, okay? You can even go in a circle, practice going in a circle. Very small circle, try not to hit yourself. Okay, and I'm still only flying this drone with one stick, okay? So now at this point, come back to your stationary hover. I want you to come back into a stationary hover if you're following along, and say you're flying the HS280 along with this video. Come back to a stationary hover. Now we're gonna practice turning the camera left and right. So we're gonna fly the drone using the left stick. This is the yaw stick. We're gonna turn the camera to the right. And now I want you to practice staying in that orientation. Now this is gonna be tricky and you might crash doing this first, but you're gonna push the right stick left and a little bit right to stay in that orientation. If you don't see the drone straight, maybe spin it a tiny bit. Don't forget to press left to kind of get it away from you. That's how you're gonna keep it away from you. And right now you're in a side 2 hover. If you wanna go forward, you're gonna press forward. So everything's kind of the same except for the roll axis. So the roll to the left is gonna take you out that way, get the drone away from you. Pushing forward is gonna bring it further back in front of you like this. Pushing left, away from you again. Using the right stick only. Try not to push too much right stick because that's gonna bring it to you. Okay, so now you've done a side 2 hover with the camera pointing to the right. Now get back into your stationary hover position, tail facing you. You're gonna go forward a little bit. And now we're gonna use the yaw stick again, and we're gonna turn the camera to the left, okay? Now you're doing a side 2 left hover. Now this is where it gets tricky. And I'm gonna try to keep it in one stationary position. This is gonna teach me a lot right now, okay? Pushing left will bring it to us. Pushing on the right stick right will bring it away. And pulling back on the stick will bring it back in front of you. If you drift to the left, pull back. And it's wanting to go that way. So practice going left and right a little bit, not using this left thumb at all. And sometimes even still, I get confused with this. So it teaches me a lot about my orientation. It's gonna make me a better FPV pilot and a drone pilot. So now that you've kind of done a little bit of this type of hover, I would practice that for a few minutes until you really get a good feel of how to back it up side 2. And still, you're learning line of sight flying here. No GPS, you're using an accelerometer, and you're not using any optical flow. So this is really great training to learn how to be a great drone pilot. So at this point, go back to your stationary hover. You've done a left and right hover. Now we're gonna do what we call traditionally in the RC heli hobby, a nose in hover. Did I say hover? Okay, so now that you've turned this around nose in, I'm gonna do that again, okay? Using the left stick, yaw only. I just kind of do it automatically when I say it, but you're gonna spin that camera around until it's facing you, and this is how you're gonna take your droney. If you had GPS, it would just stay in that one spot, but we're not using any sissy GPS today. We're just pure manual flying for this drone camp, okay? Now, notice when you push left, it's gonna go to the right, and when you push up on the right stick, it's gonna come at you, okay? If you push away, it's gonna put it away from you, okay? So think about that. Forward on the right stick brings it to you. So everything's opposite right now. Now, left is gonna make it go right, and right is gonna make it go left. So look at that, everything is completely opposite. Isn't that crazy? And learning how to fly nose in manually first with a quadcopter is gonna make you so much better of a pilot in the long run. Most of the drone pilots out there did not start out flying like this. So you're way ahead of the curve if you're doing this tutorial. Now again, pressing the right stick down makes the drone go further away from you. Pushing it forward, right stick only, makes it come at you. Don't forget to anticipate your next move, pushing the drone away from you. Pushing the drone stick, right stick to the left, makes it go to the right. And practice this like a whole battery until you get really used to this. And you will become a very precise, proficient pilot. Look at that, we can bring it right up to my face. A lot of practice doing this nose in hover. So I know my orientations very well. I've done this for over a decade. And I've taught everybody from students to law enforcement how to fly drones. Okay, so you're gonna spin it around with the yaw axis again. And let's just go ahead and do some circles here. Okay? Try not to hit your trees. We're gonna bring it back over. You practice that stationary hover, it's doing great. So now you're gonna come in for your first landing, and you're just gonna step back from your landing pad. Practice that stationary hover. I always come in and land with the drone tail facing me. I'm gonna hover over the home point here, and I'll show you. I'm just gonna gently come in and use very little minimum stick inputs when you're coming into land. Just hair-like stick inputs, okay? Keep bringing it in, nice and slow, and set her down to the last minute. And now you've done your first drone landing perfectly. So now we're going to switch out to a new battery, and it's important that every time you switch out a battery on any type of drone, give it a few minutes to cool off and kind of settle down and reacclimate to your environment. If it's a really cold winter day, you don't really have to do that, but I do suggest keeping these batteries warm in your pocket or in your car or truck with the heater on. That way everything stays warm. When you put it in the drone itself, it's going to fly a little longer if it's a warmer battery. If it's really cold battery, you're going to get a little less flight time. Just a new tip for the new guys. Now, on our next part of this series, this drone camp, we're going to go ahead and do some of these circuits. You can practice these circuits anytime you want. Once you learn these in this video, you'll have these forever. These are super great and really nice to teach new people. Okay guys, now we're ready to do our circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and arm the drone out and in, do our auto takeoff button. And now you're ready to do your first circuit. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the square circuit now. And you're gonna come over to this position point. Basically what we're gonna do is use the right stick only. And you're gonna try to hover in position number 1 of your square. You're gonna go to press the forward stick, the right stick forward to position 2. Try to hover in that position number 2 of your square. Stay in one spot right there, only using the right stick. Now for the third position of your square, you're gonna fly over using the right stick only again. Try to hover in one spot using that right stick only. Keep it in one spot, position number 3. Now we're gonna go to position number 4, come back to position number 4 and stop using the right stick only. It will maintain the altitude for you, okay? Try to maintain that position. If you wander a little bit, try to put it back in your imaginary spot. Now go ahead and move over to the final position where you started off at, and you've completed now your first square circuit. That was pretty good. So now we're going to do it again a little bit faster this time. We're going to go from position 1 to position 2. Now we're going to go to position 3. If you start to drop, use your left stick to bring some altitude a little higher. Now come back to position number 4 and stop, using the right stick only again. Now go to the original spot and stop, and now you've completed your second square circuit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go the opposite. So we're going to go to position number 1 over here, using right stick only again. If you drop, give it a little bit of altitude with your left thumb. Now we're going to go to position number 3, going in reverse. Position number 4, stop, and back to your final point. Now you can do these square circuits over and over and practice that only using the right stick. Look at that. Even with a non-GPS assisted quad, you are the GPS. You are the position hold. So this is going to teach you how to orientate the right stick. What the right stick does, that's the whole purpose of the square circuit, is to teach you right stick orientation and function, and how to just kind of maintain a solid hover and keep the drone in place. There's no trimming or anything needed with this drone. There's no trims on this particular transmitter. So the next circuit we're going to do is a circular circuit. Okay, so we're going to do, using the right stick only, we're going to go up and around in a circle and just do a nice tight circle using only the right stick. Okay, just like this. And if you get off, bring it back, restart. These circles aren't going to be perfect, but you can pretty much roll that right thumb around in a circle and she will do circles. But try to visually maintain, say, a medium-sized to large circle. Okay, do it nice and slow and controlled to start. Don't just wail around on your right stick. Watch where the drone is flying. This is a lot of hand-eye coordination. So watch where the drone's going. And then after you've done a few of those, go ahead and stop in front of yourself and then do it the other direction. Okay? Do a reverse circle using the right stick only. Try not to hit yourself, of course. And this will maintain the altitude for you. We're not using the left thumb at all. So now at this point, we've done a circuit one way and the other. Now we're going to do a circuit using the yaw. We're going to point the drone in the direction of the circle that you're flying. So this is going to be a lot harder, okay? So now you're going to go around in a circle and you're going to keep that camera pointed in the direction that the drone is traveling along your imaginary circle. Now, my circles aren't perfect. I could slow them down. If you feel like they're getting all over the place, just try to slow down and do them slower and make a perfect circle. And you'll notice as you get better at this, you have way more control with your turns. And once you start doing forward flight and doing some kind of freestyle flying, you're going to take all these things that you've learned today and incorporate it into your forward flying. So now that you've done it that direction, go ahead and do it the opposite direction. Practice using the left yaw stick, going left, and do those circle circuits to the left. Looking good. Okay, you know, these aren't perfect. And again, you can slow it down a little bit. You don't have to go as fast as I'm going. I'm just kind of cruising along here. And what this is leading you into is learning how to bank. So we're going to talk about the next thing is making a bank. And a bank in an airplane, very similar to a quadcopter bank, you're going to use both sticks to fly along and make a bank. So your first bank, we're going to do a bank to the right using both sticks simultaneously. And now we're going to bank left. Lift the drone up if you start to lose altitude. So a bank is just a nice sweeping turning motion with both aileron and yaw, and go left and right. And now what I'm leading you to is working on your figure 8 circuit. So come back to your starting point, get in your hover position, and we're going to go out starting here, and we're going to do our first figure 8. You can do it long ways like this, or you can do it side 2. You can practice it both ways And this drone might be a little bit squirrely, but slow it down. Again, slow it down and do your figure eights nice and slow. See, I have a tree over there to compete with. That's not good. Pick a place where there's no trees. So this drone, you know, it has a little bit of robotic controls, and it will get slightly off at times. And that's not you, it's the drone. But as a beginner, this will teach you a lot. This will teach you how to really be precise. Do your figure eights the best you can. Forward flight, practicing both sticks at the same time now. And at this point, if you've done these figure eights for say half a battery, this is your last circuit, and now you're ready for forward flight. So getting into forward flight using both sticks, we're just gonna do some freestyle flying around the yard back and forth here, and trying to navigate to avoid obstacles, line of sight. Now it's really hard to judge how far away an object is, line of sight. So we're just gonna fly over there under that tree and see if I can use my line of sight skills to bring it back through here. And yep, I was able to do that and get out from under that tree. Now, one thing that you can practice to bring your drone back, if you get way out there and you get in a dangerous situation, you lose orientation of your drone, this is something that you can practice to bring your drone back manually without the GPS assistance. If you build your own drone, say maybe you lost FPV transmission from your goggles, your video went out, but you could still see your drone and fly it. If you practice this, I swear this will help you recover your drone. So take your drone out a little bit of a distance in, say, a big giant field, okay? And I recommend doing this with a GPS assisted drone. If you get out of sorts, you could press return to home. But if you practice it with a manual drone, again, you're gonna be a better pilot. So take it way out in the field, and you're gonna purposely twist it around until you can't really see which orientation it is. And then you're gonna try to bring it back without hitting things. So what you're gonna do is first you're gonna spin the yaw and then press the right stick. Press it forward like this. If you see that the drone is moving to you, then you're going the right direction. Once you figure out which orientation the drone is headed, say I'm looking for the back of the drone. If I push back, oh, there's the back of the drone. I know that's the back of the drone. So now I can hover nose in and I can push forward and bring it back. So that's how you would do that out in a distance, in kind of losing your orientation on the drone. So take it way out, spin it around, and figure out where the back of the drone is. So right now I'm spinning the drone again. If it doesn't work the first time, now I'm going what looks like forward, and now there's the back of the drone. So now you could pull it all the way back to the home point just like that using the back button. So the back stick right here, pulling back on the stick. And so figuring out where the back of the drone is if you're in a disorientation mode, which is not good to be in if you can't figure out where your drone is going. I've seen so many drones crash on the internet because of pilots losing orientation. So if you practice this spin it around method, move the stick until you find the back of the drone. See, left, right, we're trying to figure out where the back is. And when we finally figure out where the back is, that's when you can kind of try to point it toward you and come back. And you can do it nose in or you can do it tail in. But finding the back of the drone is super important for reestablishing your drone's orientation to the home point. So now at this point, your camp is complete. Let's go back into the studio now, have some final information on how to be a better pilot and how to get started flying your first drone. Hopefully this drone camp helped you, and now you're on your way to becoming a better drone pilot. So congratulations if you're still watching the video at this point. Chances are that you are the kind of person that's going to be a successful and great drone pilot. And one of the reasons that I say that is because if you watched the video this far, that means that you're putting in the time and the effort into learning before you go fly. So that's super important. If you've already flown and you're using this drone camp as a tutorial, that's totally fine. Take these techniques that I taught you today, practice them with your Mini 3 Pro, practice them with something like a brushed motor quadcopter with no GPS and no optical flow on it. I always suggest starting out like that. These are super light. They come with extra props on here. It has folding arms. It's under 250 grams, so that's great. You don't have to register this one with the FAA. You don't have to put remote ID on it, and you can pretty much fly it anywhere. So that's really great. You can get these on Amazon, again, like in the link below. I'm not an affiliate, by the way. Now, if you grab this one, make sure to also grab a landing pad, a takeoff pad. This is great to have. These fold up in this little bag. You can take it with you anywhere. And I usually keep one in my car next to my driver's seat so that when I do go fly at different locations, I have a launch and landing pad. It's really great to have these, and they're not expensive. So the best thing you can do at this point is keep charging up your batteries, fly every day, fly 3 or 4 flights a day. And after about 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be a much better pilot practicing all of these orientations and circuits that I showed you in this video. So good luck on your journey into learning how to become a successful and safe and great drone pilot. I'm Justin Davis with Drone Camps RC. Please do subscribe, guys. Check out the website, dronecamps.com, for more blog, news, and information on drones and the industry, and also FPV race quads. I'll see you on the next one.